I'm excited to talk with you about this film. I was drawn to this film particularly because I grew up in a Catholic school.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
So I'm assuming that's also kind
Yeah,
of where
yeah, I
Genesis came
went.
from.
You know it, boy. You know I'm a raised Catholic. Come on. I couldn't have made this if I wasn't raised Catholic. Yeah, yeah, you know it, man.
Well, first and foremost, let me just, I know this is your big feature film, which congratulations on that.
Thank
But
you, dude.
but more than anything, congratulations on getting into Tribeca, which is like the festival, and especially if you're from New York and you're embedded in the film culture in New York. So talk to me about what was it like when you found out that you were in
Dude,
this festival?
I had walked out of seeing Nickel Boys. It was December. I'm probably revealing Tribeca's secrets about how early they let some people in. Oops. But I walked out of Nickel Boys and I was like, oh, can my heart take any more? I had cried. It was incredible, unbelievable experience. I just opened my email. I get an email from like Jared Neese says, "Hey, we love Living Blessing. We want to be Tribeca." And I was like, no, what? So literally I'm in like an AMC. Which one was it? I think I'm in AMC Lincoln Square 13, and I'm just being like an absolute like I go into a corner and I start calling like everyone. I'm like, Raza, we got a thing. I'm like calling multiple people. I'm like doing conference calls. I'm like, get multiple people on. We need to do a live, everyone needs to react at the same time. And I started like doing lines. I was like, hey, what are you doing in June? What are you doing in June? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, what are you doing in June? They're like, I don't know. I was like, are you free in June? Like, yeah, what? And it was like, because are premiering in Tribeca. And they're like, like, and so like, I was having fun. I was like fucking with people. It was great. When we found out, I was stoked, dude.
As you should. As you should. I really wish I was there in person, actually. The way you just told that story is fantastic.
Dude, I would have been hopped up. You would have thought I was such an asshole, though. I'm like pacing around. I'm like, what's going to happen next? Who's going to distribute us? Who's going to be alive with that? I looked like a little Wall Street guy, I guess. I don't even know.
Look, you can't be. I denounce you. You can't call yourself an asshole. You go to AMC Lincoln Square, which is the definitive AMC. Okay.
That's my boy right there.
So let's go into the religious aspect of this movie.
Sure, yeah.
Was this something that had been festering inside of your mind all these years, as you were growing up as a Catholic, or these some of your like I guess I don't want to say hidden desires, but like hidden thoughts and ideas? Like, what if this happened? What if somebody was pushed to this brink?
Mhm.
Talk to me about like really how you decided not only to make a movie out of this, but to have it be your first feature film.
I have this theory that being 7 to 10 years out of a particular era of life is perfect for making a movie about that era of life because you're close enough to still feel the feelings, but you're far enough to have internalized the lessons and the insights and to not be like vindictive or anything like that. So, I think I had written the first draft of this in like 2021. So that was like 9 years after the freshman year experiences that kind of informed this film. Of course, the foundation of my psyche probably has so much to do with religion, right? I mean, I'm a very self-revealing person, and I was also trained to confess to priests when I was a kid, right? I'm a person who's very conflicted, and I feel like I contain many different natures, and I had very different parents who divorced, and they were very different even after the divorce. And I would live with one and live with the other, and conclude that there were a lot of different ways of skinning this cat that is being a person. And so yeah, I mean, so much of this is from my upbringing. I mean, it's essentially an act of self-dissection. So I couldn't say that it was necessarily like festering. I guess it was more just like bubbling, percolating, kind of almost like it was like I'm looking at like an ocean or a lake, and this thing would bob up to the surface every now and again. I'd be like, I should take a look at that, and then it would sink down, and it would come back up, and be like, all right, fuck it, I'm grabbing that, and like, um, and so yeah, I there was a lot of things that were on my mind with this one. It's like, why are we the way we are? Exploring first loves, exploring, sexism and patriarchy in Catholic schools, exploring conditions of worth. Like, what does it mean when you need unconditional love? But it seems like someone's setting up conditional love, like, I will love you if, you know? Studying like people pleasers, like shapeshifters, like empaths, whatever word you want to use, like people who just, they're not the same in every environment. They mirror. And so it's really hard when you're coming of age as that sort of person to know, like, who am I? What am I? I'm like different in like almost every environment. Like, what is this? So I think all those things were just kind of bubbling and they showed up in the script.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that this is a coming of age movie. It's rare to see a coming of age movie in this kind of environment because, but by definition, coming of age means you're growing, you're learning all these lessons, but then not to shit on Catholicism, but Catholicism really kind of prevents you from growing in some ways because you have to stay in this strict lane. Um, and in some reasons, there's an argument to say that's why it's dying, right? There's the argument that like a lot of people don't want to be priests anymore. They're struggling to retain their base. There's an argument why we may have just gotten an American Pope, to
Yeah.
try to be relevant again across the world. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, was that a challenge for you, or did you find it exciting to kind of, I, I guess, for lack of a better word, be a pioneer in this kind
Oh,
of
wow.
storytelling?
That's quite nice of you to say. I appreciate that. Honestly, I was actually really worried about being a pile of cliches because I literally applied to USC with this idea. Like, you had to write a Microsoft Word, a 3-page document about something you'd like to do after graduation. So I wrote this idea, and the first line of it was, that scene where the teacher says, "Raise your hand if complete the sentence." Do you remember? Okay, so that's the first line of what I wrote. And I remember the guy who let me in. I mean, he's a really cool guy, but he was like, "You're gonna have to figure out a way to make this interesting because like Catholic high school has been overdone to hell, man." And I was feeling ashamed. I was like, "Yeah, you're right. This is gonna be fucking lame." But I wrote it anyway because it's what I knew. You know what I mean? But as far as like, okay, does the Catholic Church like limit my ability to like do a story? You bring up an interesting point, right? Because there's this huge evangelical crowd who kind of like caters to an audience that already knows what they're going to eat up, where, you have this stuff like The Chosen and like Jesus Camp and like, Fireproof and all that, where it's like, we are offering things, we're preaching to the converted, right? And we're not really challenging. And yeah, I mean, I think there's something kind of stodgy about that. I think that you can engage with Catholicism in a way that pushes the boundaries a little bit, asks kind of meaningful questions, is a little raunchy, is a little edgy, but is ultimately got its heart in the right place. And I wasn't really sure how people were going to react. The weird thing was when I first wrote it, I was convinced people were going to hate me and I might even get like attacked. And we all joked that like I was going to get like attacked over this film. But you know what the crazy thing is? The more people reacted to it, the more I realized like everyone kind of sees where we're coming from, that 15-year-olds don't know what they're doing. And the movie's spirit is not vindictive, it's not vitriolic. So it's like, um, I think all I was trying to do was just not lampoon the faith, not worship the faith, just take an honest look at it. And what are people? They're sacred and they're profane. They piss, shit, and they fuck, and they're also emotional and have psychological wounds and they're trying to grow. So I don't know. I hope that's an answer, but that's kind of my roundabout way of talking about that.
No, that's a very good point. The only other like Christian or not, I want to say like coming of age movie that kind of involves religion is one of my favorites. It's called Sing Street. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. John Carney.
Ooh, I've seen Sing Street. I'm gonna add that to my list right now.
Yeah, it's more of a musical if you've ever familiar with his stuff, but that's kind of the only other one that comes into mind. So I'm surprised that somebody told you that religion's been done before. I've never seen it done through this lens. So I really want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you, dude. That's really nice.
The only other thing I wanted to ask you about was you work with this amazing child actor, Jake Ryan, who's
Dude,
been
Jake's the best, man.
on my radar since
Eighth grade or
no no
after?
no what's the Coen Brothers movie,
Inside Llewyn
the
Davis.
Inside Llewyn
He's
Davis.
been
There we
on your
go.
radar since Inside Llewyn Davis, brother. Okay, okay. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Guess who plays his mother in Inside Llewyn Davis?
Is it the same actress in
The
this?
same actress.
No
They've done,
way.
they had that wombo combo, that round two on this movie. Isn't that crazy, dude?
That's insane. But what was it like working with him? Is he just as chill in real life as he appears on screen?
Dude, I was literally playing Super Smash Bros. With him in the other room like the other day. Like he's my boy, dude. He has a nasty Sephiroth, dude. He whoops my Toon Link's ass. It's fucked up. I was gonna have a Smash Bros. Tournament. The winner was gonna get 1% equity in the film, and I put the kibosh on that. I was like, I ain't about to I ain't about to lose that, brother. No shot. But dude, Jake is an absolute legend. He's a pleasure. He is a very present, intellectual, sweet, um, insightful person who's really wise beyond his years. I love him. I'm gonna keep working with him, dude. He's my boy, dude.
Could he potentially be like your Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro to your Scorsese, or
I would love to.
he's
I
just as young? You can groom him, not like that, but for like for Phil.
oh my oh yeah, that's great. Yes, no, listen, I mean, we're buddies, and I'm stoked to work with him again at some point. It's gonna be awesome.
And I think I only have time for one quick question. One
Shoot.
last quick question is what is next for you? You've got the feature film done, so what's going on? What can you tell me?
I would love to get a little bit of cashioli to make my next feature. It would be the father son to Lemonade's mother son. It would take place during the 2021 GameStop short squeeze stock crisis. Bless you. And it would be a kid gambles his dad's life savings away the same day that GameStop stock goes down like 50% in 30 minutes. So he's got to get his whole dad's life savings back before his dad notices. It'll be wacky. It'll like be, he'll go into Reddit, like literally go into Reddit as a physical space, and it's gonna be zany and retain a lot of the elements that I think people like about Lemonade, like examining why we are the way we are, examining parent-child dynamics, but will be in a kind of different genre, more of like if like Uncut Gems and like The Big Short had a kid and that kid grew up and failed his first year of business school. You know what I mean?
That's a great elevator pitch right there. The last
Thank
sentence you
you.
said.
Hopefully I remember it for Tribeca. Somebody please give us some money. Yay.
Jake, I saw it. I loved it. And before we get to that though, I just gotta ask, you found out you were gonna be in Tribeca Film Festival. What was the feeling like? Is this your first Tribeca Film Festival?
It is my first Tribeca Film Festival, and I don't know, man. I'm just over the moon, you know. Uh,
Yeah. Is there anything you are expecting or you're not sure to expect? Like, what do you think of making your Tribeca debut with this kind of film?
I have no idea. I have no, I haven't, I don't know what to expect at all, and that's just the fun of it, you know. Going in blind is always like a fun way to experience things. In my experience, you know.
Of course. All right. And as I mentioned, so you've worked with Cohen, you've worked with Bo Burnham, you've worked with Wes Anderson, so many high profile names. But here you're working with a first time director, at least a first time director on his first feature film. Uh, Talk to me about the decision to do that. What stood out to you about the story? How did you become attached to this project?
So a little while, I think it was back in April, my agent sent me the script. They're like, here's a script for this movie. Just take a look at it, see if you want to do it, yada yada. So it was one night. I like from the first page there was there was something different about it. There was like something special, very personal from the first page because the first scene is a young kid, 2001, playing The Legend of Zelda on the GameCube. And it's like this is very specific. I wonder where this is going to go. And then there's another scene in the film where they're in detention and he has a very interesting conversation with someone who will become his friend in the movie, and the exact same reaction when he asks a very specific question was my reaction, and I'm like, oh my God, they get it. This is funny. This is really good. So by the time I finished the script, I really enjoyed it. So I decided to sleep on it. And then the next morning, I still really enjoyed it. I got a text message from a friend of mine who said, "Hey, have you heard of the script at Lemonade Blessing? Have you read it?" And I was like, "Yeah, are you going for it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. That's great. I think you'd be great for this role." So it was like a little thing, but I think it really impacted like the confidence I had going into it. So yeah, I think it was great.
So somebody you knew that was also in the industry read the script and thought of you as the character, is what you're
Yeah. So, I mean, if he thought of me, then I wonder if they would think of me too in that sense. And then I found out later I was on the pitch deck and like, holy moly.
Yeah, that's so cool. Let me ask you this. Like, I don't know what your relationship is with religion, but like for myself growing up, this film spoke to me because I went to Catholic school. I knew like all the ins and outs. And come being a product of Catholic school, when you kind of leave it, it's not. I mean, you definitely have a relationship with religion, but at the same time, you're like, wow, like those guys are so strict for no reason. So like, talk to me a little bit about your relationship with religion, if that played a part in you understanding the story and how you played the character.
I have little to no understanding of religion, unfortunately, but I mean, my mom grew up in a Catholic school. So I would ask her like, is this like accurate? And it's like, yeah, yeah, this is pretty, I mean, it's a little bit later when I went, but yeah. Uh, religion did I wouldn't say I'm a very religious person, so it didn't have any bearing on the script. It was still but that just goes to show it was just a wonderfully written script. So
I agree. You can tell either way whether or not you're like really devout or anything like that. I hope I wasn't like implying any of that, but
no,
I
no,
just
no,
wanted to say
good.
you did a very good job with the role. And speaking of moms, the mother in this film is actually someone you've worked with before. Do you want to elaborate on that? Was that a surprise coming on set?
It wasn't a surprise coming on set. So Jeanine Serralles also played my mother in another wonderful film called Inside Llewyn Davis. I was only in there for like maybe a minute or two. I spent the entire day on set just like eating cereal, saying the same word over and over. But it was still a pretty fun experience. So it was just like it was great to work with her again. She's so amazing in the movie. She brings so much, like her performance just elevates it to like another level as well. Yeah, it was, yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. I there's the scene at the end. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just you one of your last few interactions where you're about to say something to her and then it cuts away to a flashback. That oh man, like
Yes.
that got me. I was like, oh, I already love the movie, and I'm like, oh my God, talk about trying to make me love something even more. And that's once again just to compliment you and Chris and Skye's work in this. This is a really good film. Cannot emphasize that enough. One thing I'm kicking myself in the butt for, I spoke to Chris the other day, did not get a chance to even ask him what the hell the meaning of the title is. And I think there is like kind of an implication. There is you see lemonade at some point in the movie, but I would love to hear your thoughts about what you think the title.
For a long time, I didn't know what it meant because it sort of like flew over my head the first time I read it, which silly me. But the scene with the lemonade. So there's a scene in the movie. I really don't want to give too much away, but even still, this might be a little too much. But I will explain. So there's a scene in the movie involving lemonade, um, a sacred object, and a toilet. So that is exactly what it means. That it's exactly what you're thinking. So
Interesting.
it's just one of the many sacrilegious acts in the movie that John has to go through in order to just sort of please Lilith in that way so they can continue their relationship. It's a very, yeah, it's a very, it's just a fun dynamic. I don't know. Skye is so great in the movie.
Yes, talk to me about your relationship with Sky on and off camera because the whole time I'm watching this, like if I was like as devout as like like diehard Catholic or whatever, like I went to church every Sunday or whatever, I'd be like these guys are definitely going to hell for some of the stuff they're doing and saying in this movie. Was it fun though to kind of tread that line and what was your chemistry like? Like was it? I guess the question is, did you have fun doing all those sacrilegious things?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think one of the best reasons we got along so well is and like performance wise, Skye is the type of actor who just listens, who's like really good at listening, very good at just like at so like in the chemistry read, I don't know how this happened, but I messed up a line. Like it was right in front of me. I don't know how, but she would respond to it like out of order, and it was one of the it was one of the it was like the second scene that we interact in the movie. And it caught me like immediately, like, wow, yeah, she knows. So when we did rehearsals, I thought I was pretty confident going in, but she brought like a whole other level. She was on like another level, which is a lot because I've worked with like some pretty good PI, some pretty amazing actors in my time. She's going to blow up, I feel.
That's awesome, and I could not agree with you more. There's something special, not only about her, but you, and the dynamic, and just I love the editing and the humor, and the jokes that are shown and not said in this movie. I think I only have time for one last question about it, and that is, do you think there's a message in this film, or do you think it's absolutely open to interpretation, like religion?
I don't know. I guess my takeaway is like generational trauma is like really a factor in like your everyday life. Like it's gonna it like if your parents are like go through something horrible, then they're gonna do everything in their power to make sure you don't go through something like just as bad. But like you're always gonna mess up your kids in one way or another, and that's sort of gonna bleed into their personal lives as well. So my takeaway is I don't know, just stuff happens,
Stuff
and it's
happened.
okay.
It's very profound. I'm not even gonna lie. No, no, Jake. Honestly, it's a pleasure to be speaking to you. Like I said, a legend, and I cannot wait to see what you are gonna do next after this. Because, like I said, you've been on this streak of very great projects, and I think this is another one to add to your list.
Thank you very much.
No problem, man. Take care and enjoy Tribeca.
Will do.
Skye.
Hi.
Pleasure to be speaking with you. I feel like I am in the presence of greatness because what you do in this movie is hilarious, fantastic, nerve-wracking. You know, you hit all the beats of like
Oh,
human
thank you.
emotion. So congratulations.
Thank you. That's so
Before
sweet.
No, no, of course. Before we talk about the film, I do want to just ask you. I know I don't want to say you're relatively new to this because I know you have some credits on your IMDb, but is this your first Tribeca?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say I'm relatively new to film. I've done a lot of theater stuff, but this is my first big feature.
How does it feel? Talk to me about what was going through your head when you found out this film was going to be premiering at Tribeca.
Oh my God, it's so surreal. It's crazy. I mean, I can't even believe I feel like the wait, the lead up to it, the anticipation has been so long and now it's here and I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" It's funny because too, like Tribeca in particular is so special to me because I went to college in New York. I lived here a bit as a kid, and I went to the acting program at Pace, which is sort of near Tribeca. And my freshman year, I went and saw screenings at Tribeca, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, God, it would be so cool to get to be in one of these one day and like be part of that. And now a year after I graduated, I'm getting to go to Tribeca, and the whole thing just feels so cyclical and right, and I'm so excited.
Yes, so truly a full circle moment.
Yes.
How did you get involved with this movie? I know Chris is this is his first feature,
Hmm.
but acting alongside Jake, sorry, not Drake. Oh, not imagine if it was Drake though. No, acting alongside Jake, who has some pretty crazy credits to himself.
Totally.
So how did you get involved in this?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fairly traditional audition process originally. I got the audition through my agent and I had sides in a script and I read the script and I was like, "Oh my God, I love this so much." Like immediately I was like, "I have to be part of this. I have to be Lilith." Just connected to it on such a great level. And I sent in my self-tape, didn't hear anything for like a week, was gonna try and move on and forget about it. And then I got an email that I had a call back and that I was supposed to have a Zoom meeting with Chris. So I met with Chris for like an hour on Zoom. We talked, we connected super well, and we had a great rapport. Then Jake and I did a chemistry read, which was, I feel like everyone in that room was like, okay, this is right. This is gonna work. And we had a lot of fun and then the process began and that's how I got involved and I'm so grateful that I did.
Talk to me about, so the film obviously is about many things, but one of them it being religion and people's different relationships with religion.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your relationship with religion, and did you see that as an opportunity to kind of, I guess, familiarize yourself? Did you see this film as an opportunity to familiarize yourself with it, or lose yourself in it, or maybe you had no relationship with religion whatsoever, and maybe this was just some new territory for you? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, what I love about this film and religion is that it doesn't really condemn or just wholeheartedly support it. It's just opening a conversation about religion and the benefits that it can offer, and also the ways in which it can be used to suppress and harm people, which I really like because I've thought about for most of my life. I don't have a super strong relationship with one particular religion. I mean, I'm half Jewish. I like went to a very Jewish preschool. That was kind of the beginning of my life. But neither of my parents were very forceful on any religion. My mom's Catholic. And so then I went to like a Christian Catholic homeschooling place. So I'd kind of had a lot of exposure to all of it. Um, but I hadn't touched on it for a long time. Before we started filming, I started like getting more into it just to see, and I went to like masses and stuff just to watch and observe and learn a little more. But yeah, I don't know if this film has necessarily changed my relationship with religion, but I do love the conversation that it has opened and I like that it isn't black and white or good and evil in this film. Like everyone is kind of fumbling here.
Yes, that's especially what I love about it. It's like that you put it perfectly. It's that like there is no perfect Christian or Catholic or whoever, even those who subscribe to any sort of religion falter. Is I love the end where not spoiling anything, but like his mom kind of just like finally breaks down, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, now you got to go to confession," you know? So,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah, it's
catches you
so
at all.
good.
Um, I'm kicking myself in the head because I did not get a chance. I spoke with Chris last week. I spoke to Jake already. I didn't get a chance to ask Chris what is the meaning of the title. So I would love to pick your brain. I know that there is some visual representation of lemonade in the movie, but what do
Yeah.
you think it means?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's exactly that. It's like this tongue in cheek. I don't want to fully spoil anything here, so I'm trying to be cautious with my words. But I think it's this tongue in cheek, and I feel like blessing is interesting because it's kind of like, is this a blessing, or is this more of like, sacrilege and all of that? I'm just trying not to give too much away. I think people will know exactly what the title means when you get to the end of the movie.
Perfect. Jake had a very similar answer, by the way. It's so
Oh,
funny.
great.
Because
We're
you
on the
guys,
same wavelength.
yeah, you guys are on the same wavelength. You guys, it's so crazy because like I would love to hear like what it was like. You already told me about the casting process, but it seems like you guys were able to finish each other's sandwiches. No, I'm kidding. It's you guys are so good at like reading each other's awkwardness, but then also playing off of it, and it seemed like a lot of fun. Did you guys have a lot of fun doing so many sacrilegious
Oh
things?
my God, we had so much fun. Um, it was awesome. We had a few rehearsals and stuff before filming started, and Chris had kind of wanted Jake and I to establish this fun relationship and friendship. And obviously, you can't force that, but he gave us an opportunity to like go bowling and just hang out with each other without the pressure of filming or rehearsing a scene. And I think that really started off a great friendship. And I feel like we have a really great rapport and camaraderie. And I think we relate to each other in a lot of ways. I think we both have this, high energy, like anxious, awkward sometimes, type of vibe, but also this like introversion and this a little bit of like shyness and protection. And I think we were able to read each other very well. And, Jake is so lovely and kind and as you said, he has so much more experience than me. And I was grateful to have this person who has had way more film experience than me. And he was so welcoming and like just embraced me with open arms. In this whole process and yeah, we really had so much fun. There was so much banter and jokes and we were, fooling around between takes and but yeah, it was great.
For a film of this subject matter, it sounds like it was actually a lot of fun
Oh
to
my God, yeah.
uh just a couple more questions for you. I know you spoke a little bit about like what the film does in regards to religion, but is there a particular theme or message, or do you think it's just as open to interpretation as religion itself?
I do think it's fairly open to interpretation, which is kind of what I love about it. I don't think this film hits any one particular theme over the head in any type of like preachy way. And I think that's what's so cool. It's just this very authentic and truthful, grounded story. And the audience is able to take from that what they would like. And I think that it certainly opens up discussions and I think what's really cool is that it encourages reflection on our own lives and our own upbringing and like our childhood and our firsts and the people that we are and I also think it's very cool because you see these kids. I think it's super helpful for adolescents to see it too because you're seeing these kids not knowing who they are but pretending that they do and I think everyone feels that way and it's a good reminder that we're not alone in that feeling and that we have more options than black and white or good and evil or like completely religious and strict and like no religion. I think that there's a lovely middle ground that people in this movie haven't quite found yet, but others in the audience could be encouraged to.
Guy, that was a wonderful answer. That
Thank you.
really. Um, what's next for you? I gotta know. You have to, at this point, have something that you're working on that you can talk to us about.
Yeah, well, I was on Broadway a few years ago, or I guess we closed a little over a year ago with the show called Kimberly Akimbo, and I'm actually on a national tour with that right now. So I'm traveling all around the country, like changing city to city every week or two, and doing that show around the country. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm back to Chicago after I leave Tribeca, back with the show. But yeah, I don't know. I'd love to. This film really made me want to do more films and on-camera work, and it's really sparked a hunger for that. So I'd love to make more movies. So I'm hoping something comes down the pipeline that way as well.
I have a feeling you probably won't be waiting too long after people see this. Just a hunch, okay?
Thank
But
you.
no, but Sky, it was
Fingers
a pleasure
crossed.
speaking with you. Yeah, fingers crossed. Really, truly a pleasure to speak with you, and I once again cannot wait to see what people think of you in this, and to see what you do next.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you today.
Pleasure as well. Take care.
Bye.